Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the APSWC YouTube channel, where we look to promote, protect, educate, and develop the spa and wellness industry across the Asia Pacific. Today, we're honored to have with us Mr. Dieter Buchner, who is a long-standing wellness guru, well known within the Asia Pacific region and across Europe for his work in the wellness industry. So a very warm welcome, Dieter, and thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew, for having me here.
All right. Okay, so we'll get straight into it. All right, a little bit of the spiel up first. Is a little bit of a long question, but I hope we get to the point. All right. Um, Ancient healing traditions spanning thousands of years are intersecting with modern scientific approaches and technological innovation in an industry that is valued in the multiple billions of dollars. The Global Wellness Institute has valued the wellness economy in Asia Pacific at something like 1.9 billion, $1.9 trillion in 2023, which is only just behind that of the US wellness economy, which was valued at 2 trillion. All right. So today we would like to explore this a little further with leading complementary health service provider Dieter Buchner. All right, a certified Buchinger Fasting Coach from Germany. Apologize if I said it wrong. With over 17 years of experience. All right. He promotes the transformative healing benefits of the fasting method in Vietnam with 5 to 8 day fasting retreats at various destinations across Vietnam. Just check out the details in the description below for links to any upcoming retreats that he's doing. So, Dieter, yeah, again, thank you very much for being here. As a leading player in the spa and wellness sector, do you think the industry has got it right in terms of promoting or protecting traditional healing practices? Or have we focused on the marketability of traditional healing practices without actually understanding them?
I think when you talk about the market and the industry in general, it's quite different from country to country. My first exposure to traditional healing in the spa and wellness community was in Thailand when I was working and living there, which is which went until 2009. And back then, I noticed that the marketability of certain treatments was definitely very important. I call it the Instagrammability. So, for example, you take pictures of a woman having oil dropping onto her forehead,
Mm.
like a Shiodara treatment, which looks fantastic on the images. However, very few people at the time understood that it's not just the warm oil dropping on your forehead, but it's the ingredients that are in the oil that make the difference. And it's actually a therapeutic treatment. However, in the spa industry, it's positioned as a relaxing treatment. And I'm sure it is, but it doesn't harness the full power of what it could do simply because there isn't an Ayurvedic doctor that is blending the oils for this specific person and for this specific needs. Here in Vietnam, we have a very strong traditional medical tradition. And you have in every major town a traditional medical hospital. You have universities who are educating traditional medicine practitioners in a 6-year program with a very extensive curriculum. Included in this is also modern or Western medicine, as it's called here.
Mhm.
I think the issue, and we discussed this at a conference in Bangkok not too long ago in June, is that high-tech and high-tech formulations in skincare can generate lots of revenue, and equally potent and efficient care solutions or health solutions on the traditional sides are just not as sexy or as marketable, and therefore not as they don't generate as much revenue. And the research And the marketing of traditional herbal medicine or traditional medicine in general is very, very limited. So practitioners are dependent on government support in most Southeast Asian countries. There's very little interest of the industry. I'm talking about the skincare industry here.
Mm.
Um, and the spa industry at this stage, I can speak now for Vietnam, is simply lacking the knowledge and the depth to really integrate traditional medicine in a spa setting. There are now new players on the market here in Vietnam that actually hire herbologists who create scrubs, teas, and other herbal remedies specifically designed for the person that's going to take it. But this is something fairly, fairly new.
Right. Just with that, because of your experience with other countries in Asia, in terms of the herbs that you're talking about there, are they Vietnam specific or they're still more generic Asian specific?
I think they're more Asia specific, even though there's over 7,000 medicinal plants in Vietnam, and many of them are unique to Vietnam. For example, if you take moxibustion, which is made from mugwort, that's a herb that's known all over Asia and
Right.
used in similar ways to create heat during a treatment. Um, so yeah, I think we don't need to go into too Vietnamese specific herbs because many of them are so medicinal that it literally requires a doctor to prescribe them because of their potency. So when we talk about spa industry, we really need to talk about herbs that have a beneficial effect but don't have a medicinal implication,
Right.
meaning it requires a doctor to prescribe them.
And I think that's important for the spa and wellness sector, because we talk, healthcare and that sort of thing, right? And all too often it's assumed that we can freely walk in the world of medicine, all right? But we're not. We're on the periphery of that world, and we've got to be very careful about what we are doing and recognize that there are medical experts out there who know a hell of a lot more than we do in that side of things. So, is there genuine interest in Vietnam in protecting the traditional medicinal practices or traditional healing practices?
Yes, here in Vietnam, it started really with a directive by Ho Chi Minh himself in 1955 that basically stipulated that traditional medicine is to be protected, is to be expanded, and is to be taught in a structured way in Vietnam. And recently, agreements, memorandums of understanding were signed with China and other Asian countries to not only keep traditional medicine alive, but to actually make it more mainstream than it is at the moment. Um, I think especially for the younger generations, traditional medicine is something they wouldn't consider as a first go-to when they have therapeutic needs. They would rather go for tablets and over-the-counter medications to treat headaches, to treat any other, let's say, minor issues before they would consider going for traditional medicine. So I still think we have a long way to go to make traditional medicine as mainstream as Western symptom-based medicine is.
So what opportunities do you see for specifically for Vietnam or a more broader Asian perspective? What opportunities do you see for us to, as an industry, in terms of protecting the traditional therapies or traditional healing practices?
Well, this could potentially be a very wide subject because, I think the key issue in our lifestyle today and in in the occurrence of chronic diseases is that we are removed from nature to a very large extent. It starts with, living in cities, living in urban
Mm.
cities, not having access to forests, to green spaces, even though there are many cities who have fantastic parks and so on. But it's not the same as really being connected to nature. And it continues with the way when we go to bed. Normally, we used to go to bed with when sun sets, and we used
Mm.
to wake up when sun rises. And now with light and electricity, our sleeping patterns are completely out of whack, basically, which is not healthy. So our lifestyle today is one of convenience. And the other day I gave a talk at a conference in Da Nang about the danger and the perils of convenience. Traditional medicine very often is not convenient. It takes inconvenient procedures. It needs to be taken over long periods of time. And this is something that turns people off because it's not a quick fix. But at the same time, people start to realize that quick fixes aren't giving them the sustainable results they may
Mhm.
be aiming for. And I think young people, when they start to realize that many of the medication create more side effects than doing good, are more open towards taking traditional medicine. Coming back to your question of what is the opportunity for the spa industry, I think we need to propagate a healthier lifestyle, one that is connected more with natural rhythm, more connected to nature. And um, instead of having chemical solutions, chemical concoctions, anything you put on your skin. Somebody says, whatever you put on your skin, you should be able to eat it. Otherwise, don't put it on your skin. And I think in many spas, we're a long way away from this because there's no way I would eat what I put on my skin in a spa. Unless you go to spas who really go the natural way and create their own products from natural products
Yeah.
with the guidance, with the support of people who actually know what they're doing. So there's a reason why a curriculum for a traditional medicine practitioner is 6 years. And I doubt that many people who work in spas have 6 years training in this area. And they don't need to have because there are these herbologists available. There are the traditional medicine practitioners available, but I don't think they're being consulted to the extent they could be.
So they're not being given the recognition that you believe they should be.
I believe so, yes, because I think natural remedies are superior to all these high-tech formulations. And yes, efficiency is important in the skincare and in the beauty industry, and people want to see fast results. Um, but if they are looking for long-term solutions and long-term results, I believe the natural way will give them better results. It's just not so convenient.
Right. So in terms of true sustainability of one's health, I mean, sustainability is obviously a overused word in this day and age, right? But in terms of one health, so sustainability really is the all natural, grounded way of going about things, is what you're suggesting.
Yes, I think as a general observation, I would support that, yes.
Yeah. Actually, it's interesting when you mentioned before about specifically of skincare products and what's in them. I remember going to exhibition many years ago where you had the salespeople there hyping up, this is all natural and blah blah blah. And I would say, okay, just give me a spoon and I'll let me taste it. right? And they would have heart palpitations. And it's like, no, 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 you can't. It's like, well, how can you claim it's all natural if I can't eat it then? Right? Because
Mm.
if it is all natural, I mean, surely it's going to taste horrible, right? But that's not the point, right? If it is all natural, shouldn't I be able to consume it? Not that I would want
Um,
to, but just in terms of
Theoretically,
validating
you should be
claims.
able to consume it. It may not taste fantastic. Neither does medicine taste fantastic. But
True.
yes, technically, you should be able to do that.
Yeah. So, well, we live in hope. So, I mean, within your community in Vietnam, all right? I mean, because you're running the detox retreats. I mean, you've got a very specific market segment, I suppose you're catering to, but um, specifically for the Vietnamese market, right? The people that attend your retreats, is it the younger people, right, who are looking for greater education, or is it the older ones who understand more already?
I think we're fortunate to actually have people from all age groups. But of course, first of all, the majority of our guests are females. And our retreats are positioned as preventative retreats because I'm not a doctor, so I can't prescribe you or tell you what to do with medication you are prescribed by your doctor.
Right,
And I can't make any medical claims or give you any forecast of how a disease you may have is working out. So that's why we focus on prevention. And females are usually a lot better in thinking, having a preventative mindset. Men, on the other side, often, Anthony Robbins once said, men need to have a gun to the head before they make positive changes. And the gun to the head in our setting is literally a stroke or a heart attack. When they survive those, that's when they start to think about, well, maybe I should make some lifestyle changes. And very often we see guests who have made this transition before or after having had a serious medical challenge joining our retreats. And they find that they feel significantly better months after the retreat.
right,
So for me, this is a validation that looking after yourself and doing interventions like fasting can give you a better health outlook in the future.
but so, like, okay, so you said men in particular need a gun pointed to their head, right?
Yes.
What can we do to change that mentality?
You would be surprised how many wives bring their husbands because they worry about them
Right,
and they kind of drag them along. But of course, we have a conversation with every guest because we want to make sure they really want to be there and not because their wife drags them along. So you can only help people who want to make a change. You can't convert them or you can't, brainwash them into wanting to live a healthier life. Here in Vietnam, we have I don't want to call it a tradition, but it's called Nhau, where you basically drink beer with either a group of friends, which is a social Nhau, or for business. So in other words, if you want to sign that contract with a government agency or with a company and you don't participate in Nhau, it's not going to happen. So the very strong social pressure for you to engage in unhealthy practices, sometimes 2 to 3 times a week. And I always ask our guests, okay, so how many Nhau do you do in 1 week? And they say 2 to 3. And how many beers do you have in one Nhau? 7 to 9. Now that's 27 beers in a week. And then you wonder why you're not feeling good. And they all feel lousy the next day, but they feel they have to do it if they want to stay in business. And so here, it's those kind of social pressures that force you into doing things you actually don't want to, but you feel you have to. And this is, I think, where we need to start to root this out and, have a strategy on how to host a healthy Nhau which is socially and culturally acceptable.
And how far away are we from that happening?
I think at the very beginning. Actually, next week we will have a guest who has exactly this problem. He has been in our retreat before, and he is sucked into the spiral of meows, and he did fantastic 6 months after the retreat, and then he got back into this routine, and now he wants to come back and really uh, make a change and maintain that change.
Right. So he's seen the results, and yeah, he's really looking for
Yeah,
those results to continue to
correct.
truly be sustainable for his own health.
Yes, because he realizes or he recognized it really worked, it really helped, and he wants to feel like this again. So he was with us in July last year, and he's coming back in 9 days from now. And in his case, we will specifically work on his now problem and help him to handle this social pressure in a way that's better for his long-term health.
All right. With this, I mean, the basis of this discussion was traditional healing, but looking at things like World Wellness Weekend, Global Wellness Day, Global Yoga Day, World Bathing Day, etc. These global wellness activities, do you think they have a role to play here?
I believe they do, because if they wake up the appropriate government departments to the benefits and to the impact they can have on a larger amount of the population, then that would be a fantastic achievement. If it's only appealing to the people who are on the wellness train already, you're missing out a large percentage of the population. So
Sure.
all of these very admirable activities, they also need to bring government agencies on board in order to have a truly large-scale impact.
All right. So it's got to be for the broader community.
Yes, I would imagine. Because,
Yeah,
at the moment, if you look at the way wellness and especially longevity is going, it's totally going into the luxury segment, which means very few people can actually afford all the amazing things that are claimed to be so effective. And I say this expression deliberately. Um, but what about the other 90% of the global population? What can they do to live healthier?
yeah. I mean that is a whole question that you could one would suggest you're really opening a can of worms that you're actually going to treat people equally. And unfortunately, I think generally we live in a society that doesn't quite work like that. Sorry, excuse me. So yeah, very, very interesting chat here. It's great to talk to you, Deidre, and I'd love to continue this conversation, but I just wanted to keep this short, and it's more of as an introductory thing. All right.
I'd like to add one more thing, if I may.
Yeah, please.
And, I kind of refer to this whole longevity trend that's on at the moment, high-tech interventions, IV drips, technical solutions, chirotherapy, and I'm sure they all have their merits. But there's no point in doing all of these high-tech solutions if you miss the boat on living close to nature. And I realized that what we're doing with fasting, which is thousands of years and enabled the human race to survive, uh, we're actually doing everything that longevity requires. So it's a reset, it's mindful eating, it's mindful breathing, it's mindful everything. And if if you go to high-tech, expensive technical solutions and then you come back to a lifestyle of unhealthy habits, it's not going to really create the change you're looking for. So you need to accept that sometimes long-lasting wellness includes inconvenience, healthy inconvenience, like walking the stairs instead of taking the lift, um, avoiding chemical products in your skincare routine, avoiding ultra processed food, and there's so many things you can do quite easily
Mm,
by returning to a natural lifestyle, and then you have longevity right in front of you.
yeah. Uh, Look, Dita, as I said, I'd love to continue this conversation because I think you're an incredibly interesting person to talk to. Obviously, you're very passionate about what you do, and you know what you're talking about when it comes to the fasting side of things. So, hugely thank you. But yeah, so I just want to wrap it up, and as I'm sure that you'll agree with me, this is a subject that we could spend hours discussing. But I hope we've given our viewers some food for thought. And thank you hugely for sharing your time with us today. Thank you, Dieter.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.